You're listening to Confidence with Katie, a podcast created for ambitious, savvy women who are ready to embrace their inner badass. If you're ready to figure out exactly what you want and how to get there, well, I want you to jump on in and join me, public speaker, executive coach, fire starter, and your podcast host, Katie Langford. Hello, fabulous. Welcome to today's episode. I'm Katie, and I just want you to know how happy you make me and my team just by being here. Today's Confidence with Katie episode number 17 is something that has really been heavy on my heart. Don't you dare shrink yourself to make others feel better. Friends, imagine me looking right at you. I am jumping out of your phone or your computer screen, and I am screaming to you, don't you dare. I'm on fire about this topic because I see it all the time. I see it with my clients and with my friends, and I even see it with myself. Why? Today, I want to talk about how all of the times that we as women are shrinking ourselves down just to make other people feel more comfortable and what we need to be doing instead. But first, let me introduce you to two women who are growing, not shrinking. They are my badasses of the week. My badasses of the week are sisters and co-founders of The Slate in Dallas, a new female-focused co-working space that I am so excited to announce I am joining them when they launch in just a couple of weeks. That's right. Jody Slater Hastings and Shelly Slater are creating an amazing resource for women called The Slate. The Slate is a female-focused workspace that allows its members and the surrounding community to access new media. The Slate is housing a community of business leaders, startups, creatives, and professionals who want to hone their skills in messaging by utilizing their 2,000 square foot video and photography studio, as well as their podcast studio and their team building rooms. And they're doing it all while integrating into a greater co-working community. I am so excited about The Slate. I think that it is going to be an amazing network and an amazing space. And personally, I cannot wait to start recording my podcast there. That's right. No more recording the podcast from home, although I am watching my neighbor take his dog inside right now. So that's kind of funny. But I am just so grateful for Jody and Shelly, the Slater sisters, who saw this need and opportunity in Dallas, and they are providing women a space to grow their companies and their businesses and themselves. And talking about growing businesses takes me back to today's topic, the opposite of growing, shrinking. So today, if you walk away with just one thing from the episode, it's this message I want you to hear. Don't you dare shrink yourself to make others feel better. I want to talk about why this fires me up so much, why it's actually a disservice to ourselves and to others, and what we should be doing instead. Let's talk a little bit about what shrinking ourselves can look like. And these are just a few of the contexts that jump to mind from my own experience and from friends' experience and from clients. I will make her embarrassed if she knows how much success I have. I will hurt her if she finds out I'm pregnant. I will cause her to feel badly if I tell her I love my job. I will make her uncomfortable if I share with her that I am in a loving, healthy relationship. I will create havoc for her if she knows I love my life. I know that at least one of those examples is making you nod your head. And I know something else too. I know that you care deeply for the other human beings in your life. That's why you do this, right? You care so much for them that you think you can shield them. But the truth is, you are doing them a disservice, and here's why. People can choose to live their lives in one of two ways. One, they can choose to live their life with hope and positivity and action. Or two, They can choose to live their life staying stuck, accepting the fact that life is quote unquote supposed to suck. When we decide to shrink ourselves so that other people feel more comfortable around us, we are hiding the evidence that hope and positivity and action can lead to happiness. And here's the thing, sometimes life does suck. We've all been there. And if someone you know is in a difficult season of life, I get it. It might feel like you are flaunting your success and happiness in front of them. And so what we do instead is we all try to hide it. But when we do that, when we hide, when we shrink, we aren't showing the incredible, hopeful, positive part of life. And in fact, we're leaving more space for the sucky parts to bring others down. Carol Dweck, obviously, I hope you know who she is. She is an amazing badass. She wrote an entire book called Growth Mindset, and we'll link it in the show notes. I'm going to read an excerpt that talks about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. The fixed mindset being the one where we're just stuck, accepting that life is quote unquote supposed to suck. So here's the quote from Carol's book. People with a fixed mindset believe that their traits are just givens. They have a certain amount of brains and talents and nothing can change that. If they have a lot, they're all set. But if they don't... So people in this mindset worry about their traits and how adequate they are. They have something to prove to themselves and others. People with a growth mindset, on the other hand, they see their qualities as things that can be developed through their dedication and effort. Sure, they're happy if they're brainy or talented, but that's just the starting point. They understand that no one has ever accomplished great things, not Mozart, Darwin, or Michael Jordan, without years of passionate practice and learning. And that is why it is a disservice to hide our successes and our accomplishments and our happiness. Because when we shrink that down, we aren't encouraging others to give themselves permission to grow. So, what should we be doing instead? Here are 3 things. Number 1, allow ourselves to be recognized. Listen, I have worked with so many of you on recognition, and I know you're cringing. I do, because some of you are great at being recognized, and others of you, it just sounds horrible. In my fundraising days, I would often have donors who didn't want recognition. And what most people don't understand is that recognition is not just for their own personal sake, but it really is for the sake of others. And my job when I was a fundraiser was to help them see that when others learned about their giving, it could and often did inspire others to join in the giving. The same is true for how we live our lives. When we diminish ourselves as not to make someone else feel uncomfortable, we rob people of the chance to be inspired by us. Number 2, get out of your own negative cycles of comparison and fixed mindset and allow ourselves to be inspired instead. I'm going to tell y'all a story. It's kind of a really interesting one, and I'm a little nervous to tell you, but I've already ripped off the anxiety Band-Aid, so might as well rip this one off too. Just this past April, in April 2018, my friend Carla and we went out to a conference in LA. And in fact, it happened to be Rachel Hollis's Rise conference. I got to meet Rachel and have my picture taken with her. I even talked to her for a minute and I have no idea what I said, but I'm sure it was something very funny or witty or none of those things probably. But before we went to the conference, I had no clue who Rachel was. My friend Carla invited me, and really, we just thought it sounded like a fun girls' weekend, and we would get to go to LA, which obviously is amazeballs. So that April, when I posted the picture on my social media of me and Rachel, it got 4 likes. 4. Just a side note for comparison, when I posted a picture of me making homemade pasta, it got 127 likes and 62 comments. And yes, I did go back and look at this. But I was so fired up by Rachel that I started following her and reading her book and listening to her podcast, and I was liking everything on Instagram. I just could not get enough of Rachel Hollis. And all of a sudden, her book hit the New York Times bestseller list, or at least it felt like all of a sudden to me. And she was everywhere, and everyone I knew was talking about her. And they were asking me, have you read Girl Wash Your Face? And I'm like, yeah, I read it like 3 months ago. Where were you, sister? Suddenly, as Rachel was everywhere, I started feeling super down about myself. She was younger than me, but had accomplished more. She didn't go to college, and she outright told everyone that, but her business was more successful than mine. She had found time to have 4 kids, and here I am still wondering how I will ever make it work with 1. And no, this is not a pregnancy announcement to my mom who might be listening. Rachel talked about her amazing relationship with her husband, Dave. Like, she really, she talked about it like she was having orgasms on the daily. And just a little jealous of that. You go, girl. But I couldn't handle it. I couldn't help but want to be super mad at her. Mad at how different her choices were than mine, mad at how she was having success, mad at the fact that everywhere I looked, there she was. But here's the thing. It was never about Rachel Hollis. And once I realized that and got comfortable with it and started taking action steps of my own to go live my dream life and serve people the way I want to serve them, to build the business that I dream about and create the family that I want, the anger and resentment and frankly bitterness, it waned. What I thought I was feeling towards Rachel was really just a reflection of what I was thinking about myself. I had to rip off the Band-Aid and get really clear that it wasn't about her, that it was about action steps I needed to take. Now I look at Rachel and I think, if she's done it, I can do it. Number 3, start living unapologetically. Can you imagine if Oprah decided to keep all that she knew to herself? What about world famous chefs like Wolfgang Puck or Eric Ripert? Do you think that 4 women would have thrown their name in the hat for POTUS if Hillary hadn't tried for the last 2 elections? You think Michael Jordan didn't inspire the likes of LeBron and Steph and Kobe? What about Malala? What if she just stopped talking about the education of girls after the Taliban tried to silence her? Your life might make someone feel uncomfortable. Heck, you might feel uncomfortable because of someone else's life. But the person who is uncomfortable, that is about them. You might not be Rachel or Oprah or Wolfgang or Hillary Clinton or Michael Jordan, who definitely is the GOAT, or Malala, but do know that your life, your experiences can serve as inspiration for other people. Start living unapologetically. Start stepping into your greatness. Start sharing your story. And for the love of all things real, stop shrinking yourself to make someone else feel better. As always, my goal is to inspire you and add value to your very important life. I want to help you get where you want to go. If Confidence with Katie is giving you some inspiration, will you do me a favor? Will you subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts? Will you rate us? Will you leave a comment? Share this with a friend. Doing all of these things helps us reach more ambitious, savvy women who need to hear this content. And it helps us fulfill our mission to inspire, motivate, and impact the lives of women just like you. Thanks for listening to Confidence with Katie. I hope the episode helped you feel more empowered to take control of your dream life and your dream career. Start igniting those fires, sister, and embrace your inner badass. Until next time, badasses.